When looking at the walk laterally, protraction in the forelimb is over-exaggerated. Hind limb retraction is also very poor bilaterally. Protraction and retraction of the left hind is worse, however there can be a longer swing phase seen here. Hip and stifle flexion is also poor bilaterally, however is worse on the right hind, where he can be seen abducting the leg instead from the hip, and he tends to slip into a pacing gait rather than a classic walk. In the trot, we can see hyperflexion of the carpal joints, and he generally seems more comfortable. He's now tracking up, and overall hind limb flexion and extension is improved. However, he is toe dragging bilaterally in the hind, and there is a slight downwards head nod as the right hind strikes the ground, and protraction of the left hind is still poor.
In the cranial view, it was noted that there was lateral medial circumduction of the forelimbs, with addition of hyperextension of the carpal causing a flicking effect. Charlie was also walking on 2 tracks. It was noted that there was a longer swing phase on the right forelimb with higher flexion of the shoulder on the left. There was no head nod present. It was noted in the hind limb during caudal view there was marked thoracolumbar sway which was more prominent to the left. The right hip had a higher dorsal excursion which shows offloading of the limb. Circumduction of the hind limbs was lateral but placed on 2 tracks. Stifles turned out meant circumduction was more prominent at the tarsus.
From the cranial view in trot, you can again see that Charlie is pacing. He has an intermittent head nod on the right hind strike. His circumduction is less in trot, predominantly from the carpals down, and he has higher flexion of the left shoulder than the right. He is on 2 tracks. From the caudal view in trot, we can see that Charlie has a waddling gait with a marked pelvic sway. He has higher dorsal pelvic excursion on the right side, suggesting offloading of the right hind limb. He has lateral circumduction and abduction bilaterally of the hind limbs to avoid flexing them.
It is important to note that during this assessment, a halter was used as Charlie was pulling, which may have influenced his gait.